Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back, and thank you for sharing a part of your day with us. It is really exciting for our third episode of MLA's Kitchen. We're going to be coming to you live from New York City. Joining us today is going to be Leo Rivera. Hi, Leo. Oh, we can't hear you. Wait, unmute your microphone. Click on the mute button.
Hey, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
We've got you now, Leo. Thanks so much for coming in to us all the way from New York. It's just a few minutes after 9 o'clock for you. And great to see you, buddy. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, where exactly do you live in Manhattan, and how are you connected to the MLA family?
Well, as Carson said, I'm Leo Rivera. I live in New York City. I live on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. And my connection to MLA is through my brother, who 2 years ago recommended that I worked for them. And he introduced me to Carson, and I went down to Miami. I worked 2 summers in a row in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, you name it, all over Florida. We went all over Florida, and it was a fun time. And I was so bummed out that I couldn't do it this past year. Had I known there was going to be a pandemic, I would have probably changed my mind. but yes.
Well, that's awesome. So, Leo, tell us, where in New York City do you live? Are you downtown? Are you uptown?
No. Yeah. So the Upper East Side, that's where I live. It's uptown. It's on East 93rd Street. So it's like a 5-minute walk, well, 10-minute walk from Central Park to the east side of Central Park. So it's you would call this uptown because it's in the Upper East. Obviously, I'm within like maybe 10-15 minutes away from Times Square by subway.
Okay, so that's up on the Central Park side, and closer over towards the East River. So not the Hudson River, but the East River, right?
Correct. Although it's pretty much the same river, because it's all the same river, but they call it differently. On the east side, they call it the East River, and then on the west side, they call it the Hudson River. But it still is the Hudson River. So
great. Well, look, I know so many people that are joining us today. We all love New York so much, and we've been seeing so much on the news there. Our hearts are really going out to all of the people and citizens that live inside of Manhattan, but especially all of the healthcare workers that have been there trying to keep people safe. Just briefly, tell us what life is like. I know last night at 7 o'clock, people went on their balconies and were singing New York, New York. What is life like now living in Manhattan?
Well, it took us a minute to really assimilate this new reality, I think. Yes, but we're really grateful for all the first responders, all the nurses, even the cleaning staff at the hospitals. I think that those are really important people that don't necessarily get the recognition that they deserve. But now they're really stepping it up, and I hope that this situation gets better, obviously. But in a neighborly way, we have been all of us chilling and singing and playing songs right from across the street, yelling at each other from window to window from across the street. Hey neighbor, I love you. Neighbor, I love New York. Or thank you nurses, thank you doctors, thank you first responders, thank you firemen. Thank you, the NYPD, that's, the New York Police Department, or the fire department as well. They've been very helpful. So we just kind of make it known and very loud. I have, sometimes I'll grab like a pot and and a spoon, and I'll start making noises and just say, thank you, thank you. And fun fact, I actually, before this whole thing started, because Italians started it, I think, and Spanish people did too, that you started singing in the balconies. And so I was really, really inspired by that. And I sang a song. I actually sang Viva per lei by Andrea Bocelli. I was just so inspired, and I was singing it, mine and my own. And, New Yorkers are very known for how blunt they are. So let's just say an angry neighbor yelled at me, and he said, "Shut the front door." We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it PG-13. Those were not the words he said exactly, but he kind of said it. But ever since, I think they're starting to warm up to me. now we all sing, and we play music every night at 7. We clap, we cheer, and it's just the best way to keep it positive and keep it enthusiastic.
Well, once again, our hearts really go out to everybody that's in New York right now. And especially, as you said, there's a lot more people in hospitals than just the doctors and the nurses. So, really, our heartfelt thanks to everybody out there that's doing their best to keep us safe during this time. But I think one of the things that we've all taken to, and one of the reasons why I reached out to you, is because I follow you on social media and I know that you like to cook. So I think in our spare time here, as we're all spending more time with our loved ones and inside of our homes, that we've turned to our kitchens. So let's turn it over to you now, and you can lead us through today's delicious recipe of Spanish tortilla. And
Sure.
just a reminder to all of our attendees out there, we will send the full recipes with all of the measurements and all of the instructions following today's webinar. So over to you, Leo.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'd like to say hello to everyone in Italy, Argentina. I know there's people watching us in Milan and Corato. I saw there's a Giuseppe Faretra, and there's some people in Buenos Aires, which is amazing. Thank you all for taking the time to really spend it with us and chill with us this morning. So as Carson said, we're going to be cooking one of my favorite dishes. It's the easiest thing to make. It's just a Spanish tortilla. For those of you who don't know, I am from Venezuela originally, but I've lived the vast majority of my life I've lived in the U.S. And I'm very proud of my heritage. I'm half Spanish, even though I was born in Venezuela. But so the Spanish tortilla was always a thing. It was a big plate in my family, especially for breakfast. My mom always makes it for us. And it's just the one thing that brings us all together as a family. So for that, we need potatoes, which I already kind of took the moment to peel some off. And I don't know if you can see them over here, but we have some potatoes. And I usually like to slice them up. That's how you start. But actually, I forgot something really important. You will need a frying pan for this. And just a little bit of oil. It doesn't matter what type of oil you use, but I prefer to use olive oil. And I kind of just squirt a little bit on the frying pan and kind of turn the stove on medium low, and we'll let that simmer for about maybe 2-3 minutes. And give me just one moment so I can do that. Oh.
So Leo, while you're doing that, somebody has asked for us already on one of our Q&As about the type of potato that you use. Is that just a typical white potato with like the brown skin?
Yeah, just the typical potato. In fact, I just grabbed one right over here, and
Great.
I usually like to peel them off. I would recommend that you wash them as well. But I just peel them off. I mean, my mom would really get upset with me because the thing is, I'm not the best at cutting potatoes or peeling them. So you can see there's like big chunks of potato that I probably wasted, and my mom wouldn't be so proud of me. But it's okay. The main idea is that, and I'm gonna see if I can move this here this way. Let me see. See how I've cut and peeled the potatoes. Now, you can slice them into little cubes like that, kind of like how I've done it like this. Or some people, I know this is a traditional way in Spain, they will slice it like this into little thin little layers of slices of potatoes. So whatever works. I mean, I am afraid of cutting my fingers. I'm kind of clumsy, so I usually just what I would recommend. Let me see if I can move it like this and show you how I cut them, so you can kind of get an idea. Because again, and I don't have, because this is one thing. In New York we usually don't cook that often. Everyone goes out, but it gets a little pricey. And now that most restaurants, actually all of the restaurants, are closed, you can only order in or for takeout. And so it's good to rekindle my love, the love that I once had for the kitchen and cooking. So anyway, so that being said, I just kind of cut it like this. Oh, this is a bit of a big potato, so it's going to take some time. But there we go. Perfect.
Yeah, so like Leo said, you can either cube your potatoes if it's easier for you. You can thinly slice them too. Some people in their kitchens might have a mandolin where you could actually just do the potatoes in the mandolin if you like them evenly sliced. So just depends on what you have. But I think the great thing about this recipe is it's super easy and you can do it either way that you want. So whatever works best for you.
I really, really wish I had that tool. But, since I don't, I have just a tiny little knife. But, you get creative, you make the best with what you have, because in times of quarantine, that's what we're all about anyway. So, to not cut myself, I just kind of, go into little pieces like that. And then, trying to, oh boy, let me see if I can lower it. There we go. Perfect. That's better. Let me see if there you go. Can you all see me right? Is that good?
Yeah, it's perfect. We
Oh,
have a question, Leo, from Michele. Michele wants to know how old you are.
I am 30. Oh gosh, I normally don't tell people that, but I'm 30. I'm turning 31 in September. Ooh,
Wow, there you go. The big 30. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you,
Lots of comments about your outfit today. They love that you're in the kitchen in a suit and tie. I don't think that's your typical chef outfit. But
Um,
for anybody that knows Leo, Leo is a fashionista. Leo loves fashion. He is a fashion blog writer as well. He's worked with a lot of different fashion houses for reviews during Fashion Week, all throughout New York, and freelances. So I would expect nothing less from Leo in the kitchen in a suit and tie.
and yeah, and thank you, Carson, for those nice words. And I would honestly, I would say that one of the things, I'm on day number 39. Number 39. That's how long I've been home. I haven't been outside. And I think that if I dress up, it just makes it easy. It gives me normalcy. It gives me a time to feel, hey, it's okay. I'm elegant. You make it fun, because otherwise being in your pajamas is comfortable, but after the third week, you're like, okay, I need to wear something else. It's comfortable and all, but you have to be, elegant. Even if the world ends, that's what my mom always says. Elegant until the end.
So for one of our people that are on the chat today that is asking on the recipe, this recipe is going to call for about 450 grams worth of potatoes, or about 3 to 4 medium-sized potatoes is what you're going to be wanting to use for today. So that was from Roberta. Thanks, Roberta, for asking that question.
Yeah.
And don't forget, the full recipe will be emailed to all of our attendees after we're done today.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to add to that it depends on, it depends on how many people will eat and how long you want it to last. I would normally do, if it's for one person, I would do 1 or 2, maybe 3 potatoes if they're small. But if they're medium, just do 2. And just make sure that you slice them up, you kind of just, I think we have made lots of potatoes now. Now we're gonna flip this over. Oh, but I hope that's a very New York view, by the way. That's very New York, but it's very quiet because, nobody's on the street right now. Okay, so let me see if I can flip it over this way. Okay.
So Leo, lots of people saying hello. So you have both
Oh my
Elizabeth
gosh, let me
and
see.
Lisa from Miami 2 years ago saying hi
Oh,
to you. People
hey, how's it going? Oh my gosh.
People want to know too, what part of Venezuela are your parents from?
Well, so they're from Puerto La Cruz. It's on the northeast coast of Venezuela. It's about 5 hours by car from Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, but by plane is about half an hour. Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And
all right, so we've got our potatoes done. We've got our oil that's on the stove.
Yes, I'm gonna add a little bit more because I had you don't want to add too much because I don't want it to be too gross, Now, okay. So see what I've done. It's like it's already kind of warm, and I just added a little bit. I want to show you. Let me see. But see how I kind of spread it around. I kind of tossed it around, shook it a little bit just to kind of make it even throughout the frying pan. And what you do afterward is you sort of let me actually put this here.
Okay, so we're taking all the potatoes and we're just going right into the pan then with all the potatoes.
Correct. No, let me move it here. Hopefully I'm not making you guys dizzy. See. Actually, this is what I'm going to do. It's a much better angle. Sorry, I don't want to make you guys all dizzy or anything. Okay.
Look at that. Beautiful.
Much better, huh?
Perfect. All right.
Much better. All right. So we're gonna.
That's a great sizzle. Perfect sound.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, yeah. And it's really delicious. It really, really is. By the way, this is a very small kitchen. It's like a singles apartment kind of a deal. In New York, it's very typical to have a small apartment and a very expensive rent. It's so typical. Everyone's cramped. I think we got it all. Now, what I'd like to do is, excuse me one moment. What I'd like to do is add a bit of garlic salt. Now, some people will slice onions, but I'm just not really an onion fan, so I just kind of settle for the garlic salt instead. And kind of just, sprinkle a little bit, throughout the thing. Nothing too much because you don't want it to be too salty. Then it gets really gross.
So it looks like we have a question from Francesca. So while you continue
Okay.
to cook here, Leo, let me go ahead and unmute Francesca and see if we can have her ask her question.
Okay.
So Francesca, go ahead and unmute your microphone, and you're welcome to join us here on the MLA Kitchen.
I don't think can she hear us?
She's taking a
Maybe she's
second
shy.
there.
Let me
So
see.
if you have a question for Leo that you would like to ask live today, all you have to do is raise your hand by clicking the hand button on your Zoom attendees panel. We'll be able to get you in live here. All you would have to do is unmute your microphone once we
Hey.
select your name.
Sure. And then, there's Maria Grazia from Rome. There's Ada from Rome as well. There's people from all over Italy. There's Siracusa, Sofia Valenti from Siracusa, Italy. Hello. Hi from New York. Let's see. Cereal and milk. Someone's eating cereal. Oh, that's easy. It's usually what I cook when I feel lazy, so good for you. And let's see. Oh, espresso and a croissant. Oh, that's very New York. Very New York of you. Very.
Yeah, so Laura has saying that in Spain you only find two types of people, Leo, the people that put onion in their omelet and the ones that don't. So you are on the don't side. So
I guess
if you
so.
wanted
I guess,
to,
yeah.
you could add some thinly sliced onion, to your recipes, but it really is a chef's preference. So that's great.
That is true. And yeah, exactly. And you also want to make sure that you're kind of stirring it, but you let it simmer. Always put it on, the stove should always be medium low because you don't want to burn the potatoes. You just want them to get a little bit soft. And while you do that, all right, I'm going to move it again. Sorry to make you dizzy again. Let's see. All right. Now, what I'd like to do is, you grab 1 or 2 eggs. Now, some people, this is where it gets you can get a little creative. I personally choose not to. Some people can add just a tiny bit of milk, and you kind of grab 1 or 2 eggs, maybe 3 tops, depending on how much you're eating. And then you break them. I already kind of did before we talked. And you stir them. So you can, and I know that lots of people, they'll eat only the egg whites. Some will eat the whole egg. I personally choose the whole thing because it's more fun. Man, I'm starting to sweat. And you kind of stir a little bit, and then until it has that yellow consistency, kind of liquidy.
All right, so that's 2 to 3 eggs, and then somebody's asking on here. Angela has said, "What about some milk?" So again, milk is an option. Leo had said before that you can choose to put a little splash of milk inside of them if you want to. He doesn't like it that way. He likes it traditional, so he likes it when there's just the eggs.
But the perks of making it with milk, though, to her point, is that it just makes it a bit spongier and just very it's thicker, if anything. So it's just gonna make it bigger, which is good. It's definitely a good thing. Now, and you can always, if you feel, which we're about to find out soon, if for some reason the amount of eggs and the mix you've made isn't enough to cover up the entire thing, then you can always add more. But again, you don't want to eat like 4. Like, I ate like 4 or 5 eggs. That's a little too much too. So
Leo, we have a very special question. This question is coming from Edwin Rivera. I think that's your brother, and he's calling in from Spain. I know he's studying right now over in Madrid. He said, "How did you decide for the Spanish tortilla of all the things to make today?"
Well, because again, my mom makes it, and it's really delicious. And it's also, it's really delicious. It fills you up. If you eat this, I promise you, like if you eat it at 9 o'clock, you won't be hungry until like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, maybe later. So it's really something really good that's filling and healthy for your breakfast. And on the personal side, I've never really been close with my father, but this is one of the dishes that brought us together. We cooked it together one time, and it brought us together. So it now holds a very special feeling for me, a very special meaning. So yeah.
And for all of our group leaders and our attendees out there that might recognize Edwin Rivera, Edwin was one of our great activity leaders at our campus at San Diego State University many years ago, and then went on to become our activity manager at Pitzer College when we first moved the program to Los Angeles. Edwin right now is studying over in Madrid, Spain, getting his master's degree, and we want to send our best out to Edwin as well in Spain and all of our friends throughout Spain that are with us today.
Yeah, it's all it's really fun because if it wasn't for Edwin, like I barely even knew Carson, and it was a very last minute decision, but I was so lucky that Edwin recommended this job for me because it's really fulfilling. I've enjoyed it so much. I love meeting all of you. I love when you teach me Italian, if I teach you English. I think it's a win-win, and we make the best, the best of it. It's a fun time in the summer. We travel a lot. We go to Disneyland. We go to like the beach, and we swim a lot. We have amazing parties. That's a given. It's a very fun party. People think, oh no, it's like only teenagers. No, it's fun, and I'll make it fun if it isn't. So you're in good hands.
All right, so we've got our potatoes that are on the stove, and they're cooking away right now, kind of doing like a light fry. We've got our eggs that we've beaten up. So what's our next steps?
All right, so our next step, now that, because if you can see, I mean, I've been sort of, stirring it, everything, and making sure that everything is, sort of ready, I guess, in the middle, centered.
You don't want these to be like perfectly brown potatoes at this point,
no,
right? You don't want them to be cooked. No. You don't want them to be fried.
Yeah, it's like a halfway point. So, okay, so what I'm going to do, which I don't think that I've made enough, so I'm gonna break another egg. I don't think I have enough. Mm-hmm.
So depending upon the size of your eggs, you can always add an extra egg. So, maybe 4 eggs is the magic number of eggs. It just really depends. So you judge, obviously, the pan that you're using. That looks like it's probably about a 10-inch frying pan. Is that right?
I would say about 10 inch. Yeah, you can. It really, yeah. That's how much it is. But pans vary in size. So, but again, I'm stirring the eggs again. And this is a part where if you want to, you could add the milk, but it's not necessary.
And then Rosanna Birdie has put on the chat today about, do you put cheese inside? And she meant, you mean Parmesan? Well, Rosanna, this is a Spanish tortilla. So, of course, even if we wanted to do a cheese today, we wouldn't do Parmesan. You certainly can put cheese in, but the traditional recipe for Spanish tortilla does not call for cheese inside of the omelets at all.
But you could if you wanted. If you want to get creative, why not? I mean, it's not like you can't. It's just that it wouldn't be a Spanish tortilla. Now, here's that. But she brings us to the next point, which is, so I'm going to start, pouring the egg, the mix of everything. But say for some reason you want to flip your tortilla, and for some reason it breaks, because it can happen. Physics, and I'm not the best at flipping things. So let me see if I can. Oh, there you go. Perfect. Can you see me better now? Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna because before they start to really burn, I'm gonna do this. But what I was going to say is that you don't want to burn it, and then if it breaks, you can always turn it into an omelet. And in that case, the cheese would really come in handy, because then it makes it stick together. It's better and it's tasty. It might be a little too salty depending on how much salt you put before the cheese. But, I don't know how much salt you want to eat for breakfast. But anyway, so the next step is to kind of put it over here like this. You want to make sure that you're covering the entire area. So
eggs right over top of the potatoes. So you want the eggs right on top of the potatoes. That way it gets in between all those little cracks and crevices of your potatoes that you put in, and should fill the pan, coat the entire bottom, right? Yes,
exactly. Now, see, here's what that's what we're starting to look. Now, let me just make sure that it's on. There you go. I don't want to make it too, like, I don't want to have the potatoes stand out like that. But what you definitely want to sit like this. You do not, and hear me on this one, you do not want to scramble anything, unless you want scrambled potatoes and eggs. But you don't scramble it, because otherwise it'll ruin the shape. Now, we'll just, again, I'm gonna, still medium low. The stove, that is, but I'm gonna leave it there for about 3-4 minutes or so, and once I see it get a bit harder and stiff and just kind of drier, then that's when we're going to flip it, and we're going to cook the other side for about 2 or 3 more minutes, and that's when it should be done. So see how easy it is. It's like you cut the potatoes, you mix the eggs, you can add milk if you want. I chose not to. You add the garlic salt, and you're good to go. Now, some people add salt, just a little bit of salt, when they mix the eggs. But since I already did the garlic salt, I felt it wasn't necessarily, and it wasn't necessary. anymore because
And don't forget for our attendees out there, if you have a question that you would like to ask live today to Leo, you're always welcome to raise your hand on the Zoom webinar feature, and we'll be able to get your question here. We just have about 5 minutes left here on our MLA Kitchen episode. We're going to get to see Leo flip his Spanish tortilla here in just a few more moments. But we do have a question here coming in from Argentina. So let's go ahead and see if we can get our friends down at Phase 2 Turismo Education on the line. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Leo.
Morning. How's it going?
Doing great, doing great. Glad to hear you're in New York. I'm glad you're safe and sound. Quick question. So, my main question: once the egg is in the skillet, do you possibly stir it at all, or do you want to leave it flat the entire time until you flip it?
I mean, I kind of have been doing that on and off because if it's too liquidy, you don't want to, it won't make it easier for you to flip it. So you want to make sure that you cover every area. There's no gaps or anything.
Okay, perfect.
But you do it, nothing too drastic because you don't want to make it, you want to scramble it. No.
Exactly. You don't want to scramble it. Perfect. All right, Leo, thank you so much for your
safe in Argentina. Thank you.
Of course. Enjoy.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in and joining us once again today. Welcome back. All right. So there we go. So that was our friends down in Argentina there with the Spanish tortilla. This looks good, Leo. I can see the eggs now are kind of setting up a little bit.
I know. It's a little too liquidy still for my taste. I mean, I might have added a little too much. But let's see. Hopefully it'll pan out. But if that comes to worse, I can always eat an omelet if I can flip. No, but you also, one thing that I like to do as well is that, well, it's a little too liquid still, but you also want to make sure with a spatula, you can kind of start digging and picking at it. You pick at it and then you kind of just make it, but it's still, I think I might have added one too many eggs. Yeah. We'll let it simmer for just a little bit more and then, but that's, it's very simple. And you can make this within, I'm talking to you, so I got a little bit distracted, but it takes about 15, 20 minutes tops. And I promise you, this will fill you up. You won't
So we want to make sure that we're keeping the eggs on medium-low there, right? Because we're not trying to overcook them. It's low and slow with the eggs today. Here we have Francesca coming on with us today.
Oh, she's back.
Good. Go ahead and unmute your microphone. And we might be able to have your question be asked live here. Maybe still having some technical difficulties. I don't know, Francesca. Can you hit the unmute button on your screen? If not, here we have Lorendana Giordino, one of our great friends, coming on with us. Hi, Lorendana. Just go ahead and unmute your microphone, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello from Italy. Hello, Carson.
Hi, Lorendana. Thanks so much for coming in today. What's your question for us?
Well, I wrote it on the chat. Don't you put a lid on it so it's quicker to?
You know what? That is a good question, and I wish I had one. That's the main reason behind it.
Fantastic, because I've just made an omelette for lunch. So normally just to make a good omelette, I usually put a lid on. So it was just a suggestion. Don't worry.
No, but it's a valid point. I think that everyone here listening should know that you can always, if you're having this issue that I'm having, which I don't have anything to cover. I'm so sorry. I'm doing a cooking tutorial. And
I know. Don't worry. It's much appreciated, really. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Lorendana. I appreciate your question, and thanks for joining us live on MLA Kitchen.
Welcome.
It's great to hear your voice.
Okay.
Hi,
Hello.
Francesca.
Okay. Hello.
We finally figured out the audio. Tell us, what is your question today?
Okay. Yes, I'm speaking from Italy, from Caserta. I want to say hello. And hello. I lost the first few minutes. So my question is, what are the first steps? I mean, you cut potatoes and put them into the pan with what? Butter, oil, what?
Oil. You do oil?
a little bit of
oil.
olive oil. And
Olive oil.
Francesca, don't you worry at all, because we're going to go ahead and we're going to send out the full recipe at the end of today's presentation. You will also get a link that you can rewatch the webinar today. So you can come back right from the beginning and get all of those tips and tricks from making the whole Spanish tortilla today from the very beginning. So that recipe is coming out to everybody following today's webinar. So, all right, Leo, we have just a few more minutes here. So what are our last steps here in making this preparation?
All right, so well, good. And thank you. Good talking to you, Francesca. Thank you so much for that question. And all right, so now we're back. And now while we were talking and I was responding, I was actually picking at the tortilla. And it looks like it's pretty much, if you can see, it's very, very much solid now. But I've been picking at it. Now, again, bear with me. If I don't, for some reason, I can't flip it, then we're gonna have an omelet, which is pretty much, tortilla is very much an omelet in many ways. But it looks like it's, lifting pretty well. Let me see if I can grab like something else to flip it with. Let me see.
What if you put it onto the plate and then you put the plate back into the pan?
Correct. The main idea is for you to flip it. And, I don't have any utensils. Let me see what.
Lots of people are asking about variations too. Yeah, you can do any type of variation on this. So you can welcome to add some fresh herb into your potatoes,
absolutely,
into your eggs. You can also put a little bit of cheese, as we had a question on from before too. There's also beautiful ways to top your Spanish tortilla. So once your Spanish tortilla is finished, you can put toppings on it. So you could put a little bit more fresh herb or cheese. You could also do some ham, maybe some prosciutto or some Iberio ham on top if you wanted a little bit more decadent for like brunch or things like that. So yeah, there's tons of ways for you to personalize this dish.
Absolutely. And I mean, I chose this because it's very simple. If you don't like vegetables or if you don't like anything spicy or whatever, it's just super, super easy. It's filling, it's tasty, and it's nutritious. Now, I sort of got the whole thing done, but I still haven't been able to flip it. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to, oh boy, it's gonna not do so well this one, unfortunately. Let me see if I can.
That's all right. Sometimes cooking and talking gets us distracted from what we're looking to do. But the idea is that once it's cooked all the way through the bottom, is that we're going to go ahead and give it a flip onto that. But
yes,
as Leo had eloquently said before, that you can't go wrong with this dish. So if you can't get it to flip perfectly on its side, you're welcome to make an omelet out of that. You can't ruin it. So as long as
I sort of kind of, I don't want to, mess with it too much because I don't want it to look too gross. But as you can see, I wasn't too skilled at, see, this is where my mom would come in handy. She would know how to flip it correctly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I try, just sometimes it doesn't work. But again, if that doesn't work, as Carson said, you cannot go wrong. You can still have an omelet. And since you're having it, on medium low, the stove that is, then you can, it's very easy. You won't be burning anything. See, when I flip it, it just looks slightly brown. See?
So it's basically like a scramble, but it's the same version of a Spanish tortilla. The ingredients are really simple.
So.
And the idea here is with this dish is you really can't go wrong. You can personalize it. You can make it whatever it is that you want to do. So very good. Like I said, we do have the complete recipe coming out for you guys, so that way you guys can try this at home. You guys can see if you can flip your Spanish tortilla. We'd love to see pictures of all of your cookings and all of your recipes. So if you do make this dish at home, or if you made any of our dishes from the MLA Kitchen recipes, we'd love for you to put them on Instagram using the hashtag MLA Moment. So if you put your picture up there with MLA Moment, we would love to see some of those cook-at-home recipes from the MLA Kitchen. So Leo, from all of us, really, thank you so much for sharing a part of your day with us. It has been a really pleasure. I'm so happy to hear that things are going well up in New York. We hope that things continue to get better. And we send our love out to everybody that's up in Manhattan. We hope to get back to the city real soon.
Thank you. Yes, please. I look forward to meeting you all, and you're always welcome in New York. One last thing I wanted to say. See, I was kind of able to sort of find a medium, I didn't flip the whole thing, but I flipped like 3 bits of it, 3 pieces of it. So you can always do that. And in the end, won't it look the same in your stomach when you eat it anyway, at the risk of sounding gross? So, of course, if the presentation is good, obviously you want it to be, good if you're trying to impress someone, but it's tasty still. So,
That's the
Thank you
best
so
part
much.
about
It's been
food,
so
you
much
know?
fun
As
cooking
long as
with
it
all of
tastes
you.
good, everybody will be happy. So join us next week. Next Friday, we're going to be coming to you live. We're going to be back across the pond. We're going back to the UK. One of our international sales directors is going to be joining us. It's going to be Carla Jones, cooking from her kitchen in Brighton, and she's going to be making some traditional London scones with some jam and some clotted cream. So another great MLA Kitchen episode coming your way next Friday from the other side. But we really want to thank Leo again for joining us over there from New York.
Absolutely.
It's been a real pleasure. And we're going to send us off today with a special song for all of our people in New York, sending our love to everybody. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with us. We'll join you next week for our webinar series. You can find us online at mlaworld.com/webinars for all the upcoming webinar segments that we have. And don't forget, that Spanish tortilla recipe coming your way tomorrow by email. So thanks a lot, everybody. Enjoy your weekends.
One last thing I wanted to say. One last thing. If you want to stay in touch and follow, I mean, I'll be posting more videos of this as well. On Instagram, you can find me at Life of Leo. So that's LIFEOF, and then my name Leo, Life of Leo. And you can find me there on Insta, and I'll be showing you more. And if you have more questions or whatever, let me type that down as well. You can type that up rather, so I can show you. Life of Leo. Oh, there we go.
All right, guys. He'll be putting that
Thank
inside
you so
of the chat.
much.
Make sure that sends out. But have a great weekend. Take care for now.
All right. Bye.